Imagine this. You watch your teenage child head out the door. Maybe for a bike ride, maybe see a friend, maybe just to clear their mind after a long day. You think nothing of it. After all, it's a normal routine, something they've done 100 times before. You expect to hear the door creak open later that evening, to see their familiar smile, to ask how their day went. But that moment never comes. The hours stretch into days, the days into weeks, and the chilling realization sets in. Your child has vanished. No note, no goodbye, no trace. For many families, this nightmare became permanent. These aren't fictional stories meant to spook or entertain. They are real, devastating accounts of teenagers who simply disappeared, leaving behind questions that have tormented families and baffled investigators for years. Tonight, we open 3 chilling files. The murder of Jodi Parrack in Michigan, the baffling disappearance of Calico in New Mexico, and the unsolved mystery of college student Bryce Laspisa in California. Jodi Parrack was only 11 years old when her life was tragically cut short, but her case has become etched into the collective memory of Constantine, Michigan. Constantine was a picture of small-town America in 2007, with fewer than 2,000 residents. It was the kind of place where people left their doors unlocked, where kids still rode bikes on empty streets, and where neighbors all knew each other's names. Jodi grew up in this safe bubble, described by family as bright, kind, and adventurous. She loved riding her bicycle, spending time outdoors, and had the kind of energy that made her hard to miss in a crowd. On November 8, 2007, a Sunday evening, Jodi asked her mother if she could take a short bike ride. Her mother agreed. After all, Jodi had done it countless times before. She told her daughter to be back soon. But the evening dragged on. The sun fell, and Jodi never returned. Her mother's worry escalated to panic. She called out for her daughter, retraced possible routes, checked with neighbors. Before long, word spread across Constantine. Volunteers grabbed flashlights and began searching fields, backyards, and wooded areas. Police officers joined in, canvassing the area and knocking on doors. Then, just a few hours later, the horrifying discovery was made. In the Constantine Township Cemetery, not far from Jodi's home, her body was found. She had been strangled. Her bicycle lay discarded nearby. The murder of a child in such a small, peaceful town sent shockwaves through the community. Parents held their children closer. Fear replaced trust. The investigation quickly focused on potential suspects, but leads were thin. One name that stood out was Daniel Furlong, a local man in his 60s. He had worked at a local factory and was known to live alone, while whispers circulated about his odd behavior. Investigators had no physical evidence tying him to Jodi's murder. For years, the case grew cold. Jodi's family was left in unbearable limbo, grieving but unable to find closure. Each year that passed without answers made the pain heavier. But in 2015, nearly 8 years later, everything changed. A 10-year-old girl managed to escape from a man who had lured her into his garage in White Pigeon, Michigan. That man was Daniel Furlong. Police arrested him, and when they tested his DNA, they found a match to evidence recovered from Jodi's murder scene. Furlong eventually confessed. He admitted he had planned to assault Jodi that night, but when she resisted, he strangled her. He left her body in the cemetery, a place meant for peace, turned into a site of horror. For Jodi's family, the confession brought answers but not comfort. They had lost their daughter, and nothing could undo that reality. For the people of Constantine, the case shattered the illusion of safety forever. Evil wasn't always a stranger passing through. It could live quietly among them. If Jodi's story was one of tragedy with eventual answers, Calico's case remains a haunting puzzle with no resolution. Tara was 19 years old in 1988, a college student from the small community of Belen, New Mexico. She was described as intelligent, ambitious, and lively. She loved tennis, was a strong student, and had a wide circle of friends. Her mother, Patty, often joined her for morning bike rides along Highway 47. But after an unsettling incident where a car seemed to follow them too closely, Patty decided to stop going. Tara, however, continued. On September 20th, 1988, Tara set out for her usual ride around 9:30 a.m. She told her mother she'd be back by noon because they had plans to play tennis. She carried with her a pink bike, a Walkman, and a cassette tape. But noon came and went. Tara never returned. Her worried mother drove the familiar route, scanning the road shoulders for any sign of her daughter. She found nothing. Police launched an official search, and within hours, unsettling clues began to appear. Pieces of Tara's Walkman and cassette tape were discovered along the roadside, as if they had been thrown or dropped intentionally. It was a sign Tara might have been trying to leave a trail. Witnesses came forward saying they had seen a light-colored pickup truck, possibly with a camper shell, following closely behind a cyclist matching Tara's description. The vehicle, however, was never located. Then came the photograph. In June 1989, nearly a year after Tara's disappearance, a Polaroid photograph was discovered in a convenience store parking lot in Port St. Joe, Florida. The image showed a teenage girl and a young boy lying on a bed inside what appeared to be a van. Both were bound and gagged with duct tape, their eyes wide with fear. The girl in the photo bore a striking resemblance to Tara. Even her family was convinced it was her. Next to her lay a paperback copy of a book, My Sweet Audrina by V.C. Andrews, reportedly one of Tara's favorites. The photograph sparked national media attention, leading to speculation that Tara had been kidnapped and transported across state lines. Yet investigators could not confirm her identity. The boy in the photo was also unidentified, though some believed he matched the description of another missing child, Michael Henley, who had disappeared in New Mexico in 1988. Over the decades, countless theories have surfaced. Some believe Tara was abducted by local men, possibly people she knew, and silenced because she had information that could harm them. Others argue the truck following her was a crime of opportunity that spiraled into something horrific. And still others point to the Polaroid as proof that Tara was trafficked far from New Mexico. Her case has remained unsolved for more than 3 decades. Tara's mother, Patty, refused to let her daughter's memory fade. She kept her room exactly as it was, clinging to belief that someday Tara would return. Patty passed away in 2006, never knowing what happened to her daughter. For many, the image of the girl in the Polaroid, eyes pleading, hands bound, is a permanent reminder of Tara's haunting disappearance. The final case brings us to California in 2013 and the puzzling disappearance of 19-year-old college student Bryce Laspisa. Bryce was a student at Sierra College in Rockland, known for his artistic talent, sense of humor, and bright red hair. Friends described him as charismatic and creative, someone who could make people laugh with ease. But in the weeks leading up to his disappearance, Bryce's behavior began to change. He had recently broken up with his girlfriend, was drinking heavily, and was reportedly using prescription stimulants like Vyvanse. He seemed restless, troubled, and not quite himself. On August 28, 2013, Bryce texted his girlfriend that she would be better off without him. Alarmed, she called his mother, Karen, who tried to reach out. Bryce told his parents he was fine and that he was coming home. That night, he left campus and began the drive toward his parents' home in Laguna Niguel, a 6-hour trip. But the journey became strange. Instead of arriving, Bryce spent hours sitting in his car in various locations. Security footage captured him buying a drink at a gas station, appearing calm. He even spoke with roadside assistance workers, who later said he seemed lucid but oddly distant. Finally, in the early hours of August 30th, his car was found abandoned near Castaic Lake. It had gone down a steep embankment. The back window was smashed from the inside. Inside the car were his wallet, phone, and laptop. Everything except Bryce himself. Search teams flooded the area. Helicopters circled overhead. Divers scoured the waters of the lake. Bloodhounds tracked his scent to a nearby truck stop, but then lost abruptly. It was as if he had vanished into thin air. Theories about what happened to Bryce remain divided. Some believe he took his own life, entering the lake and never resurfacing. Others suspect foul play, that someone picked him up after his crash and harmed him. A third theory suggests Bryce staged his disappearance to start a new life, burdened by his struggles and personal demons. To this day, no trace of Bryce has been found. His parents continue to search, haunted by the lack of closure. His disappearance has become one of California's most baffling modern mysteries. A young man who simply vanished, leaving behind only questions. 3 young lives, Jodi, Tara, Bryce. 3 stories that unfold across decades, states, and circumstances, yet share the same haunting theme. Teenagers who vanish into silence, leaving families shattered and communities shaken. Jodi's story ended with the arrest of her killer, but only after years of torment. Tara's fate remains one of the most enduring mysteries of the American Southwest. Her family left to cling to hope and haunting photographs. Bryce's disappearance stands as a modern enigma, a puzzle with no solution, a life suspended in limbo. For every case like these, there are mothers and fathers who sit by windows waiting for footsteps that never come, who hold on to rooms frozen in time, who replay the last words they heard from their child again and again. These disappearances remind us that safety is fragile and that answers don't always come. As we close the blinds on these 3 cases, the chilling truth lingers. Sometimes, the most terrifying monsters aren't the ones we fear in the dark, but the unanswered questions that never let us sleep.